You are haunted, not by ghosts, but by the echo of someone who once made you feel infinite. Their presence still flickers in your mind like the afterimage of lightning, brief, bright, and impossible to forget. You replay their smile, their silence, the unfinished sentence between you. You tell yourself it's love, but it's not. It's the psyche's addiction to its own projection. Carl Jung called it the anima or animus, the soul's mirror that we mistake for another person. You didn't fall for them. You fell for the part of yourself that they awakened. They are your unfinished story, wearing a human face. And now their absence pulls at you like gravity, dragging you deeper into the underworld of your own shadow. Don't fight the descent, observe it, because every obsession is an invitation from your unconscious, asking you to retrieve the power you gave away. Let them go, not with anger, but with awareness. The one you're trying to release never truly existed outside you. They were the dream that revealed your depth. When you understand that, you'll stop chasing ghosts and start reclaiming your soul. Comment below. I descend to rise. Number 2, the mirror and the myth. Every person you can't forget becomes a mirror, and the mirror never lies. They arrive in your life like mythic figures, half angel, half illusion, reflecting the buried symbols of your soul. When you met them, something ancient stirred inside you, a forgotten melody that whispered, "I've known this before." But it wasn't them you recognized. It was your own unlived life staring back through their eyes. Jung wrote that every relationship is a psychic drama, a theater where our hidden selves perform in disguise. You loved them because they carried your lost fire, your unclaimed desire, your disowned courage. You mistook their light for salvation, but it was your own radiance calling from the depths. And when they left, you felt hollow, not because they took something from you, but because they awakened a hunger that cannot be fed by another human being. That ache is your initiation. You are being asked to meet the God within you that you once saw in them. This is the ruthless truth. No one completes you. They only expose the fracture you refuse to see. To let go is not to forget. It is to integrate the reflection until it no longer controls you. So stare into the myth until the illusion dissolves, until you can say, "It was never about them. It was always about me." The shadow is not your enemy. It is your lost kingdom waiting to be reclaimed. Accept the lesson with quiet ferocity. Honor the mirror, then walk away from it. And when you do, the reflection fades, but the light remains, because it was yours all along. Comment below if you feel this truth stirring within you. I take back my reflection. Number 3, the alchemy of detachment. Detachment is not coldness. It is the quiet fire that burns away illusion. To detach is to perform alchemy upon your own soul, to take the raw metal of obsession and refine it into gold. You cannot force yourself to stop feeling, but you can choose to stop feeding what no longer grows. Jung taught that every fixation hides a transformation, waiting in disguise. The person you can't stop thinking about is the crucible of your becoming. They arrived to ignite the parts of you still trapped in dependency, fantasy, and fear. When they vanished, they took your comfort but left you with something far more powerful, the chance to meet yourself without distortion. This is where the work begins. You will be tempted to return, to reopen the wound for proof that you still exist. Don't. Every time you resist the urge, the psyche reclaims a piece of its strength. That's how detachment happens, not through denial, but through devotion to what is real. Imagine yourself standing in a dark room, holding a burning symbol of them in your hand. Drop it. Watch it fall and turn to ash. Now see what remains, the light that never belonged to them, the warmth that was always yours. This is psychological transmutation, the secret fire of individuation. To detach is to remember that your worth was never a negotiation. When you master this, the chains of longing dissolve into clarity, and silence becomes a sacred teacher. Let the absence become your altar. Let the ache become your guide. You are not losing them. You are reclaiming yourself from the spell. Comment below if you feel the alchemy unfolding within you. I burn to become. Number 4. The shadow lover. Every love that consumes you carries a secret. It is not love alone, but shadow in disguise. The shadow lover is the one who awakens the forbidden, the untamed, the unseen parts of who you are. They slip through your life like a dream figure, half light, half abyss, pulling you toward everything you tried to deny. Jung said that we do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. This person, the one you can't stop thinking about, is the embodiment of your unconscious calling you home. You projected onto them your beauty, your fire, your divine chaos, and now you crave them because you crave the parts of yourself you exiled. That's why you can't let them go, because they are the mirror of your inner outlaw, the sacred rebel within who refuses to be silenced. But here lies the ruthless rule. Until you love your own shadow, you will keep falling for those who carry it for you. The shadow lover is not your soulmate. They are your soul's messenger. Their purpose was never to stay, but to reveal the wound you must transform into wisdom. When you long for them, you are really longing for the lost dimension of your own power. The obsession is your psyche's rebellion against smallness, against self-betrayal. You ache because your inner world is rearranging itself, preparing for integration. To love the shadow lover properly is to set them free, to bless them for their role in your awakening, to honor them as the dark teacher they were always meant to be. Close your eyes. Feel the pull in your chest, the gravity that once chained you. Now whisper, I release the mirror. The shadow does not disappear, it becomes your ally, your compass in the dark. From that moment, you stop chasing and start becoming. The shadow lover dissolves, and what remains is your wholeness, glowing quietly where once there was pain. Comment below if you understand this truth. I loved my shadow, back to life. Number 5, the death of the ideal. Every attachment begins as worship. You build an altar to an idea disguised as a person. You light candles to their memory. You pray to the possibility of who they could have been. But the psyche, in its ruthless honesty, will always demand the death of the ideal. Jung knew that projection is a kind of magic spell. It enchants the beloved with your own unlived potential. You didn't love them. You loved the archetype they carried, the divine image your unconscious painted across their skin. They became your savior, your muse, your mirror of perfection, and when reality cracked the illusion, you called it heartbreak. But heartbreak is not the end. It is initiation, the burning of the idol so that the God within you can emerge. To let go of someone you idealized is to commit an act of psychic revolution. It means you no longer outsource your worth to another human soul. It means you are brave enough to kill the dream before it kills you. Watch the image you built crumble into dust. Let the perfection rot. Let the fantasy decay. Grieve it as you would a fallen myth, because that's what it was. The death of the ideal is sacred work. It feels like loss, but it's liberation in disguise. When the idol dies, the real person, flawed, human, imperfect, finally appears, and so do you. You stand in the ashes, stripped of illusion, raw with truth. This is where power returns. This is where love becomes real. You can only truly love when you no longer need to worship. Every piece of the broken ideal becomes a mirror shard, reflecting fragments of your authenticity. Gather them, not to rebuild the fantasy, but to recognize the totality of who you are. There is no perfection to seek, no savior to find, only wholeness to remember. Let the ideal die beautifully. Let the smoke rise like incense to the self that waits beyond obsession. Comment below if you are ready to bury the fantasy and resurrect your truth. I release the idol. I choose the real. Number 6, the sacred wound. There is a place inside you that still bleeds when you hear their name. It's not weakness, it's the sacred wound, the doorway through which the soul learns to see. Jung believed that every wound is an opening, and every opening is a passage toward transformation. Pain is not the enemy, It's the initiator. The one you cannot stop thinking about was chosen by your unconscious to pierce the veil, to tear open the part of you that had gone numb. That ache in your chest is not a curse. It is your invitation to consciousness. You see, the psyche grows through suffering, not through comfort. The gods of the unconscious do not whisper, they strike. And in that strike, you awaken. You thought you were in love, but you were in metamorphosis. The person who left you was not your destroyer. They were your catalyst. Through them, the shadow spoke, the archetypes stirred, and the self demanded attention. You cannot transcend what you refuse to feel, so don't rush to heal. Sit beside your wound like it's a sacred fire. Watch the memories flicker through it, the moments of sweetness, the betrayals, the silence that still echoes. Each one is a symbol, not of what you lost, but of what you are reclaiming. This is not about forgetting, it's about alchemy. When you allow pain to speak its full language, it transforms from suffering into meaning. The sacred wound carves depth into your being. It teaches empathy, endurance, and the kind of wisdom that no book can give you. It reveals the boundaries between fantasy and truth, between love and projection. You become aware of the architecture of your own heart, the cracks, the corridors, the chambers where devotion once lived. And then, quietly, you realize the wound was never meant to close completely. It remains luminous and honest, like a scar that reminds you of the life you've survived. The sacred wound is not there to punish you, it's there to keep you awake. Because the moment you forget, the moment you go numb again, you stop evolving. So honor it, tend to it, let it shape you into something vast and unbreakable. The pain that once enslaved you is the same force that will set you free. Comment below if you are ready to turn your wound into wisdom. My pain is my teacher. Number 7. The archetype of freedom. Freedom is not forgetting them. Freedom is remembering without bleeding. It is the quiet moment when their face passes through your mind like wind over water. No resistance, no grasping, just stillness. Jung taught that true liberation is not escape but integration. You cannot run from the images your soul has created. You must absorb them, let them dissolve into your bloodstream until they become part of your wholeness. The one you can't stop thinking about represents the archetype of bondage, the pattern that traps you in desire, control, and the illusion of completion. But when you face that pattern, when you stop fighting the ache and start studying it, the opposite force begins to awaken, the archetype of freedom. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It says, you were never theirs to lose. Freedom is not a single act, it's an awakening of sovereignty. It begins when you stop waiting for closure, stop rehearsing the story, stop needing to be understood. You start to feel the pulse of something ancient, something larger than heartbreak. The self reclaiming dominion over its own narrative. Freedom is the moment you understand that love and loss are not opposites. They are phases of the same great cycle of becoming. You loved deeply because your soul demanded expansion, and now the contraction feels unbearable. But contraction is how stars are born. Inward pressure creates light. The same energy that once made you cling now fuels your independence. Freedom means seeing the chain and realizing it was made of thought, belief, memory, not reality. Every time you return to yourself, you break another link. You begin to live for the vastness beyond attachment. You remember that solitude is not loneliness, it's power unshared. You start walking through life lighter, quieter, sharper. You no longer need their reflection to feel whole because you are standing in the full shadow and light of your own existence. This is individuation, the spirit claiming its throne after exile. You no longer ask, why did they leave? Instead you ask, what did I awaken through their leaving? That question is the sound of your chains shattering. Freedom is not given, it's earned through fire. You emerge from that fire, not unscarred, but sovereign. Comment below if you feel the chains falling away. I am my own liberation. Number 8. The rebirth of the self. Rebirth does not happen in sunlight. It happens underground. It happens in the quiet aftermath of collapse, when every illusion has been stripped bare and all that remains is you, raw, unarmored, and infinite. Jung wrote that one does not become whole by staying in the light, but by making peace with darkness. The rebirth of the self begins when you stop trying to return to who you were before the heartbreak, before the loss, before the silence that changed everything. That version of you no longer exists. The one who loved them, who clung to them, who thought salvation lived in their eyes. That self had to die. And death, in the language of the psyche, is never final. It is transformation disguised as ending. The old identity falls away like a snake shedding its skin, and beneath it, something vast begins to stir. You begin to sense it in moments of stillness, in the way the world suddenly feels sharper, deeper, more real. You notice that pain has become a teacher, that solitude has become a sanctuary, that silence now hums with power instead of fear. This is the new self being born, not a replacement, but an integration of everything you've survived. The rebirth of the self is not a single explosion of revelation. It is a slow unfolding. It demands patience, humility, and surrender. You will feel disoriented at first because the psyche you inhabited is dissolving. Your habits, your desires, your patterns of love, all recalibrating toward a higher frequency. This is the moment when many retreat, afraid of the void that follows detachment. But the void is sacred. It is the womb of creation. Every myth understands this truth. Osiris dismembered, Inanna descending, Christ resurrected. All are symbols of the psyche, reborn through suffering. You are walking that same archetypal path. The darkness you feared is not punishment. It is initiation. The soul must be emptied before it can be filled with truth. So when the loneliness swells, when the nights stretch long and endless, know that the universe is rearranging itself within you. You are becoming the vessel for your own divinity. And then, slowly, a subtle shift occurs. You wake up one morning, and their name doesn't sting. You breathe, and the air feels clean. You walk through the same world, but everything glows differently. You begin to recognize the patterns, the lessons, the symbols hidden in every heartbreak. You understand that the person who shattered you was also the midwife of your rebirth. They delivered you into your next evolution. This is the ultimate paradox. The one who broke your heart also opened it wide enough for your soul to escape its cage. That's what rebirth truly means. Not returning to innocence, but embracing complexity. You become both the wound and the healer, the destroyer and the creator, the lover and the liberated. You realize that the self is not a fixed identity. It is a living, breathing mystery, endlessly dying and resurrecting in new forms. The rebirth of the self is the end of victimhood. It is the end of waiting for someone else to validate your existence. It is the recognition that you were never broken, only being refined. You begin to carry your pain like a crown, not a chain. You speak less, but every word vibrates with truth. You forgive without forgetting, love without attachment, and walk without fear. The world no longer revolves around who left or who stayed. It revolves around your awakening. The sun rises within you, not outside you. That is the moment the psyche bows to the self, and the self smiles through your eyes. You have walked through the fire, descended into shadow, buried the ideal, and now, here you stand, reborn. Comment below if you feel this resurrection stirring inside you. I rise from my own ashes. Number 9. The silence of power. Power does not announce itself. It moves in silence, in restraint, in the invisible mastery of one who no longer needs to prove anything. When you finally let go of the one who haunted your mind, a new kind of strength begins to form, not loud, not desperate, but deep, like a mountain growing roots beneath the surface of the earth. Jung said that wholeness is not achieved by addition, but by reconciliation. You have reconciled love and loss, shadow and light, self and illusion. What remains is not the fragile ego that sought validation, but the eternal self, calm, unshakable, and aware. The silence of power is the sound of integration. It is what happens when you no longer chase meaning in someone else's reflection but discover it pulsing quietly in your own. You have seen your chaos and survived it. You have faced the ghosts that once dictated your worth. Now, in the stillness, you realize that real power is not control over others, it's dominion over your own mind. In silence, you begin to hear life differently. The noise of obsession fades, replaced by the subtle rhythm of intuition. You stop explaining yourself. You stop performing. You stop arguing with what is. You begin to move with precision, each choice deliberate, each word charged with presence. The same energy that once fueled your longing now becomes creative force. You write, build, dream, heal, not to fill a void, but to express fullness. You've discovered the sacred art of solitude, and it no longer terrifies you. It empowers you. You realize that silence was never emptiness. It was the sound of your power returning home. This silence is not passive, it's alive. It hums beneath your skin like electricity, the quiet confidence of one who has descended into their own darkness and returned bearing wisdom. Others will feel it before you speak. They will sense that you carry storms behind your calm, galaxies behind your gaze. You are no longer chasing love, you are radiating it. You are no longer searching for validation, you are embodying truth. The silence of power is magnetic, not manipulative. It draws, but it does not beg. It gives, but it does not lose. It listens more than it speaks, because it understands that everything necessary will reveal itself in time. When you reach this state, revenge becomes irrelevant, closure becomes unnecessary, and the past loses its authority. You no longer need to rewrite the story. You have transcended it. The silence of power is the end of narrative and the beginning of presence. You live without waiting. You love without fear. You move without doubt. The world around you may still tremble with noise, but inside you are untouchable. You have mastered the ancient alchemy of turning heartbreak into consciousness. You have become the witness, not the wound. And from this silence, creation begins again. The next chapter of your life will not be written from need, but from overflow. You are no longer reacting to loss. You are generating reality. The silence of power is the voice of the self speaking through you, wordless but undeniable. Comment below if you feel this quiet strength rising within. My silence is my power. Number 10. The final rule. Let the universe take them. The last and most ruthless rule of letting go is surrender. Not the weak kind that crawls, but the sacred surrender that stands tall before the infinite. Jung said that what we do not make conscious appears in our lives as fate. To let the universe take them is to trust that what has left your hands was never meant to stay. You fought, you grieved, you searched the ruins for meaning. Now the lesson stands complete. The psyche has done its work. Every attachment, every obsession, every tear was a conversation between your ego and your soul. You mistook them for destiny, but they were a messenger. Their leaving was the completion of a sacred cycle, the return of your energy to its source. When you resist this truth, you keep the wound alive. When you accept it, you become timeless. Letting the universe take them means releasing your grip on control. It means no longer replaying what could have been, no longer bargaining with memory. The mind will beg for closure, but closure is not granted by them. It's earned by awakening. You stop asking why and begin to live the answer. Every event, every silence, every heartbreak is an archetype unfolding, and the self, the eternal observer within you, has been watching all along, patient and unmoved. To surrender is to align with that self, to trust that your life is guided by forces older than reason. You begin to see patterns where chaos once was, lessons where pain once burned. You understand that the universe doesn't take anything from you. It only reclaims what no longer matches your becoming. So let them go without bitterness, without ceremony. Release them to their own path as you walk yours with unflinching dignity. Do not stalk the echoes. Do not build altars to ghosts. Let the river carry them back to the sea of what was, while you turn toward the horizon of what will be. The universe is not cruel, it is exact. Every ending it writes is also a beginning wearing a darker disguise. You are not being punished, you are being positioned. The moment you stop reaching backward, destiny begins to move forward. That is the final rule. Let go completely so that life can fill the space you once reserved for someone else. Stand in your silence. Stand in your power. Trust the current. Comment below if you are ready to let the universe take what no longer belongs to you. I release them to fate and rise into freedom. And if this journey through the shadow has awakened something within you, if these words found you at the right moment, then honor that alignment. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another descent into the depths. Welcome to the Shadow Self.